They taught you to be polite, to ask, to wait for a sign, to make sure she feels comfortable. And while the intention is noble, the result is devastating. Because women don't surrender to the man who asks for intimacy. They surrender to the man who creates it. She doesn't want to be convinced. She wants to be led. She wants a man whose presence feels like gravity, not pressure, not pleading, just inevitability. And once you understand this, you'll never have to ask her for anything again because she'll offer it all willingly, breathless and burning. This isn't strategy. This is a psychological awakening, and you're about to feel what real power is. First, you don't ask for intimacy. You awaken it. The moment you ask, you've already surrendered your power. Not because it's wrong to desire her, but because needing her permission to act on that desire makes her body say no even if her heart wants to say yes. Here's what no one told you. You don't ask a woman for closeness. You create a space where her resistance dies on its own. Let's be clear, this is not manipulation. It's emotional leadership. It's making her feel so safe, so deeply seen, so silently claimed, that her body gives you permission before her words ever do. Want to touch her? Don't start with your hands. Start with the air around her. Start with the space you shape between your energy and hers. Because women don't say yes when asked. They say yes when moved, when stirred to the core. And the man who knows this doesn't use words as permission. He uses them as invitation laced with danger. He says things like, I don't want to rush this. I want to feel if your energy truly meets mine. Or, I like the way you look at me. When you try to hide it, do you see the difference? He doesn't beg. He creates tension. He makes her feel like intimacy is already unfolding silently, subtly, beneath the surface. And all that's left is for her to surrender to it. This is the core of the psychological art. You don't ask with your mouth. You ask with your energy. You guide her toward a choice she's already made emotionally. What does that look like in real life? You hold eye contact a second longer than needed. You lower your voice not to sound sexy, but to slow her mind down. You touch with intention, one hand low on her back, never both. You lean back, not forward, because the man who holds true control doesn't chase. He draws in. Every movement says, I'm not waiting for permission. I'm waiting for alignment. If she feels safe, she'll move closer. If not, she won't. But either way, you didn't ask. You led. And here's the most critical part. When you remain unfazed by her no, her maybe becomes curiosity. Because now, you're not the man who needs to hear a yes. You're the man to whom yes comes naturally, and that is what makes her feel that giving herself to you was her idea. This isn't a trick. This is Stoic seduction. And it never fails. Perfect. Here's the full passage, a complete 7-word insight to help you understand it on a deeper level. The trick is making her believe it was her idea all along. You want her to want you? Then stop trying to convince her. Start becoming the man who understands a primal truth. Women don't surrender to pressure. They surrender to permission. And the only man they surrender to is the one who makes them feel like it wasn't his idea. It was theirs. This is the psychological technique, not manipulation. Invitation. You don't move forward because she allowed it. You move forward because the space between you is already filled with yes. What she really wants is to feel overcome by her own desire, like she couldn't stop it if she tried. That she crossed the line, not you. Why? Because when it feels like her idea, there's no guilt, no shame, no resistance, only freedom. And freedom is the gateway to her rawest, deepest, most undeniable expression, not the version of herself shaped by social rules, but the version untouched by fear, the one who acts from instinct, not analysis. You don't seduce her with pressure. You seduce her by holding a mirror to the desire already waking up inside her. You don't push. You don't ask. You lead with calm, with silence, with energy that says, I'm already in motion. You're welcome to join or not. Either way, I'm already aligned with what I want. And the moment she feels that confidence without agenda, That invitation without pleading, that intensity without need. She feels safe enough to choose you, not because she was convinced, but because she was moved. And that kind of choice, it doesn't just invite her body, it unlocks her soul. That's Stoic seduction. And it begins when you stop trying to get her and start embodying the man she never knew she was waiting for. The average man approaches intimacy like this. He builds rapport. He offers compliments. He shows interest. And then he asks, "Can I kiss you? Do you want to come over? Do you like this?" But the moment he does that, he pulls her out of her feelings and drops her straight into her logic. He forces her to analyze, to measure consequences, to decide whether she should. But a woman doesn't fall into intimacy through logic. She falls when her emotions outrun her thoughts, when she feels herself moving closer and doesn't even know why. She falls when your voice makes her forget what time it is, when your silence makes her feel a nervous flutter she secretly longs for. The man who understands this doesn't push. He pulls without grabbing. He doesn't beg for her attention. He anchors into his own energy and becomes the gravity she can't look away from. He watches how her body shifts when he speaks. He notices when she subtly holds her breath. He listens to the spaces between her words, not to react but to respond with presence. He doesn't say, "I want you." He says, "I like the way you look," when you're trying not to show it. And now she starts spinning. Now she's wondering, what did he see in me that I didn't show? Why does it feel like I'm the one chasing him? And that is the quiet reversal. He's not asking for permission. He's not offering a pitch. He's activating a tension that she wants to step into because she doesn't feel seduced. She feels seen. And not in the way men usually try to flatter her, but in a way that reveals something hidden she didn't know was exposed. He's not trying to impress her. He's inviting her into the space where emotional logic disappears and only chemistry remains. And when a woman feels that pull, not toward your words, but toward the unspoken force between you, that's when her maybe becomes a yes. She doesn't even need to say out loud, because you flipped the script. You didn't just touch her skin, you touched her ego. You made her feel exposed, not physically, but psychologically. And that kind of exposure, women crave it because it's rare. And what happens with things that are rare? They become desirable. When a woman feels like she initiated it, like she lost control, like she made the first move, even if it was subtle, that moment etches itself into her memory. She'll replay it in her mind again and again, because in that one moment, she got to feel two things at once: power and surrender, control and the aching need for more. That's the sweet spot. That's where attraction becomes addiction. Now let's talk about surrender. What do you do? You slow your speech. You speak in unfinished thoughts. You don't answer every question. You create spaces of curiosity. You let her step into the silence you deliberately left open. You give her nothing to push against, but everything to feel drawn into. And in those moments, you're no longer just a man, you become a mirror of her deepest, most unspoken desires, because the most powerful seduction isn't about what you say or do, it's about what you awaken without touching a single thread of her clothing. It's what you stir in her mind that makes her body follow you. Let the silence echo between you like electricity. You don't say, "Come to my place." You say, "I was planning to spend the night alone." You don't say, "I want you." You say, "You're incredibly distracting." You leave breadcrumbs behind, and she follows them, not because she has to, but because she has to know where they lead. That's why the most intimate moments are often born from emotional suggestion, not verbal permission. If she's unsure, she waits. If she's intrigued, she acts. The goal isn't to get her to say yes. The goal is to make her feel that if she doesn't say yes, she'll think about it forever. That stays with her. That drives her wild. You gave her the fantasy of freedom and the illusion of control, and she gave you her body as if it were the most natural decision in the world. This isn't manipulation. It's not some cheap trick or a desperate attempt to change her mind or pressure her into surrender. It's something far more refined. It's psychological seduction at the highest level. When you don't tell her what to feel, you create a space where she feels free to feel it on her own. You don't convince her. You allow her. You don't lead with words. You invite with presence. You give her the sense that the desire was never yours in the first place. It was hers. And because it felt like her own, she experienced it completely. That's what makes it unforgettable. That's what makes it real. That's what makes you different from every other man. It was hers from the very beginning. This isn't power. This is art. The art of awakening the feminine energy without ever demanding it. And this art doesn't rely on control. It's rooted in the calm, unshakable certainty of your presence. She surrenders, not because you asked her to, but because, with you, she doesn't feel like she needs to defend herself. And there, in that shared silence, is born the kind of seduction that's never forgotten. And the men who understand this, they never have to ask. They simply create the moment and allow her to cross the line herself. Third, when you lead the moment, she gives you everything. There's a reason she didn't reply to your compliment. A reason she changed the subject when you hinted at something deeper. It's not because she didn't want it. It's because you made her lead the moment. And she didn't feel safe doing it. Understand this. A woman only opens when she feels you're already holding the frame. If she senses hesitation, uncertainty, or overthinking, her body shuts down because instinctively she knows, this man wants me, but he doesn't know how to lead me. And if you can't lead her emotionally, she will never trust you with her body. That's what most men fail to see. Women aren't waiting for permission to surrender. They're waiting for the man who knows how to hold their surrender when they choose to give it. The man who speaks slowly, who moves with intention, who sets the rhythm of the moment like a conductor guiding a symphony. He never needs her to make the first move. He sets the tone so clearly that her only decision is whether or not to follow. Not because he pressured her, but because he made it safe to surrender. And safety doesn't mean softness. It means certainty. He doesn't think, should I kiss her now? He reads her. He feels the current. And when it's there, he doesn't ask. He moves slowly, calmly, present, and lets her reaction speak for her, because a woman doesn't need to be asked if she's ready. She needs to feel that you are. When you lead the moment, she relaxes. She can turn off her mind, stop calculating, stop protecting herself, stop performing, and then her natural feminine essence takes over. That's when she feels wet without knowing why. That's when she starts touching you, because your energy said, I've got this. You're safe. And here's the truth. Most women have never truly felt this. A man grounded, present, unafraid of the outcome. They're used to men who rush, who apologize for their desire, who act bold until she pulls away, and then suddenly, they shrink. They become boys again, insecure, nervous, trying to earn it. And that is when she loses interest. But the Stoic man, the man who moves slowly, speaks little, and listens deeply, he becomes a container for her chaos. And that is what she craves, because feminine energy is wild. It wants to overflow, spiral, erupt, but only in front of something strong enough to hold it. So, if you want intimacy, real intimacy, not just her body, but her soul, don't rush. Lead. Slow everything down. Say less. Let your eye contact speak more. Let your breath command the room. Let your hands guide without grabbing. She will feel it. She will feel you. And then something begins to happen. She starts to lean in without realizing it. She starts to laugh softer, touch you more often, mirror your rhythm. And when the moment arrives, she gives you everything. Not because she felt pressure, but because she felt chosen. Because she experienced a moment where she didn't have to try, didn't have to lead, didn't have to carry the weight. That is what women crave. Not just pleasure, not a performance, but relief. And the only man who gives her that relief is the man who leads, who doesn't ask, is this okay? But who says with his presence, with his silence, this is yours, when you're ready. And when she is, she won't hesitate. She won't hide. She won't forget. Because true intimacy isn't requested. It's created. And the man who creates it lives forever in her memory. Now you know, she doesn't want to weigh pros and cons. She wants to feel something so deep, so true, that her yes is a reaction, not a negotiation. If you're becoming the man who offers presence instead of pressure, drop a comment below. I don't ask, I attract. And if this video stirred something inside you, something you forgot was even there, hit like, subscribe, and stay with us for more stoic, seductive truths. And here's what no one tells you. When a woman surrenders fully with her body, her breath, her mind, it's not because you convinced her. It's because you created a momentary world where she could finally stop thinking, because her mind is her prison. And the man who knows how to make her forget herself becomes unforgettable, not for what he did to her body, but for what he did to her sense of self. You gave her a memory that felt like freedom dressed in desire. No games, no convincing, just a calm, grounded masculine presence that whispered, "Here, you're safe to become wild." That's what she craves, even if she doesn't know how to ask for it. And that's why she never forgets you. Because you didn't just touch her, you redefined what touch means.